Anointed warriors and ambassadors of this thing that we refer to as God. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Brother Minister Mongoose, and this ministry is all about living and promoting a holistic mind, body, and spirit approach to life, to health and wellness, and to running and fulfilling the race that He has set before us. This ministry firmly believes that if and when one is able to, by the grace of this thing we most commonly refer to as God, if one is able to merge, balance, and synthesize their mental, physical, and spiritual capabilities, it allows one to grow in terms of having an even greater, higher connection with this thing that we call God, whatever you want to call it. And it also empowers those individuals who are able to achieve this goal to have a more positive, confident, and fulfilling life. So this ministry is committed to providing you with real-world services that are designed to help nourish and strengthen you in all of those different aspects of you. If you'd like some information about what these services consist of, how they're implemented, how they can be beneficial to you and or your loved ones, please watch a video that's titled MBS Service Tutorial. And you may want to also watch a video that gives you some information about me and what makes me a different kind of minister, and I am. You can get some information about that in a video message that's posted titled My Testimony and Disclosure. So that's what I got for you guys in terms of the opening. I value all of you guys. A special shout of love and additional thanks goes out to the longtime viewers and supporters of the ministry. And I encourage all of you guys, first-time viewers, long-time supporters, anybody in between, hey, listen, do your absolute very best, according to this thing that we call God, by His power and authority, to live a life that prioritizes faith over fear, truth over tradition, knowledge over nonsense, love over lust, and people over profit. Now that's what I got for you guys in terms of today's opening, man. We're going to get right off into today's topic. As you are already aware, this is chapter 2 on an ongoing series that's titled Age of Aquarius, Demons, the 144,000, and the Chosen Ones. If you didn't watch chapter 1, you're going to want to go back. I know it's closely, I think, actually that's a pretty short video. I think it's under 30 minutes, but you want to go back and watch it if you haven't. It really does a good job, in my opinion, of setting the table for today's message. So you want to watch that out. I'm going to try not to rehash any of the information that I don't want to be redundant. I'm going to attempt to not be redundant when it comes to the information that I've already mentioned in chapter 1. So please check that out. Now, as we get into this, guys, I concluded chapter 1 by saying we would start off on getting into the explanation when it comes to what's really taking place. The chaos, whether it's in the weather, whether it's in food shortages, whether it's in disease, famine, the wars, our personal lives, our personal struggles, our corrupt government, mean-spirited people that are choosing to turn a blind eye to the fact that humanity has lost its way. What's at the core of it? And of course, all the other things that we're seeing in today's society as we see, essentially mankind losing the very vestiges of its humanity. We're seeing this take place in all different areas of human existence. So we want to talk about what's at the heart of it, what's at the core of it, what's the actual causality of all these varying symptoms. And the fact of the matter is, it's titled from an astrological standpoint, from a theological standpoint, philosophical standpoint, esoteric, mystical, all and so forth and so on. The traditional religions according to my research and study, the traditional religions don't address anything as it relates to, the age of Aquarius. We know that's a zodiac or astrological sign. So the Bible, the Quran, and all these other things, they typically stay away from that. So again, I don't know if I mentioned it in chapter 1, but this is basically a spiritual, again, a theological, a philosophical, maybe even mystical or esoteric aspect or approach, explanation when it comes to what's taking place. The good books, Quran, Bible, and all that stuff, they refer to it simply as, the end of days, the end time prophecies, etc., etc. So kind of potato there. But as it relates to the different views and perspectives that I just mentioned, theological, spiritual, etc., it's most commonly referred to as the age of Aquarius. And this is what's at the root of what's taking place on this planet in all these different aspects. Your own personal struggles, your eyes being open, other people's eyes maybe not being open, other people's eyes being open to the truth and wanting to behold to the power or forces of darkness and continue to walk that path. All these different things that I just mentioned. What's at the core of it, guys, essentially is what's called the age of Aquarius. Now, most of you guys may be familiar with what this is, or maybe you're not. Either way, I'm going to be as brief as I can to, explain, what this means, what are the signs of it, what it represents, and what's the ultimate outcome when we use this term or this phrase, age of Aquarius. And again, most commonly referred to as end time prophecies, whatever, last of days, whatever. But it represents the age of Aquarius. This is, depending on the research, the different philosophical perspectives, the shamanistic teachings, there's views and perspectives all across the board in terms of the duration of these different cycles. So the age of Aquarius is the beginning of a new cycle in the cosmos. So that right there is letting you guys know right off the bat that all of these different changes it's bigger than you, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than the narcissist, it's bigger than the corrupt world government, although they are certainly aware of what's taking place. It's bigger than all of these different things, the tensions, the economy, the unjust laws. It's bigger than that. What's at the core of it, again, if you want to swap this out with the end of days, that's fine. But the end of days is saying the end of an age. But that age was Pisces. That's the age of Pisces. And I won't get off into that, but Pisces represented, things like ego, things like advancement in terms of warfare, things like domination, the dog-eat-dog mentality, let me look out for myself and my family. If the rest of the world sinks, then so be it. That's what the age of Pisces represents. That's the end of, so it's the end of those days, and we're entering into the age of Aquarius. And I'll talk about a little bit more about what that means, but let me describe what it actually is, and then we'll talk about what it actually means, if that makes sense. So, ever so, again, depending on the research, philosophical perspectives, whatever that you have before you and that which resonates with you, but there's different views and perspectives in terms of how long each of these cycle lasts. But it flows through the 12 astrological signs. There's a Libra, there's a Leo, there's a Cancer, there's Pisces, Aquarius, so forth, Sagittarius, and so forth and so on. But the universe, the entire universe, actually goes through these cycles, these seasons, just like we in our existence go through winter, spring, summer, fall, 12 o'clock in the AM, 12 o'clock in the PM, January, February, March, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all of this. It goes continually and constantly. And in a cosmic representation of it would be these different ages. And some people call them yuga cycles. That's another term that's used. But depending on your research, that and all those things I just mentioned as it relates to you and what you believe. But these cycles last anywhere from 12,000 years up to 36,000 years. And each and every time, just like 12 in the morning, you get a 12 at night eventually. You'll get winter, spring, summer, fall, you'll eventually get winter back again. So every 12,000 to, depending on what your research and what he's downloaded to you says, every 12,000 years through or up to every 36,000 years, these cycles, these ages change. So we're concluding a cycle, the age of Pisces. We're entering into the age of Aquarius. And what takes place astrologically is that there's a thing, again, most of you guys are probably familiar with it, but either way, I got to put it out there for just in case some aren't. What takes place at the end and the simultaneous beginning, the end of a cycle and the simultaneous beginning of the next cycle, it's called the precession of the equinox. And this is literally a spiritual thing, and it's also a physical thing, because the axle in which the earth sits on, it literally begins to wobble. It changes its positioning on the axle. So it goes up a little bit, up and up, it goes down, and then it switches all the way back around, just like the hand on a clock. So this is why things like the age of darkness, the Bronze Age, the Golden Age, the Silver Age, all these different ages, they have come and they have gone, and Mother Earth has always still been here. So when they say the end of the world itself doesn't end. It's the end of a cycle and the end of the ways of that world. Again, every 12,000, every 36,000 years. This is why certain structures like a pyramid, they can't date it. Some people say it's 12,000. Some people say it's 36,000 years of age. Some people say it's much, much older than that. They can't date back that far. But either way, things like the deluge has happened before. Mankind has been born just like a human being, just like a plant, just like an animal, just like a kingdom and an empire. They're born, they go through this phase of growth and maturity. They reach maturity, and then there's a decline in all forms of physical existence. And this is what takes place at the beginning and the simultaneous ending of a yuga cycle / the precession of the equinox. And mankind always builds up things like Hyperborea, Atlantis, the lost city of Atlantis, and all these different cultures that existed and just mysteriously disappeared, the Mayans, whatever. They're just different forms of people, of belief systems that rose, reached maturity, and then gradually decline till no more. The cycle repeats itself, and then there's a different, whatever you want to call it, race of people, way of doing things, philosophy, structure to the government. Something else is born. But it's not like each and every time this cycle happens, people just end up, mankind, humanity, you don't just end up right where you started. So every time this cycle, the whole cycle, from A through Z, not just from Pisces to Aquarius, but from Aquarius to Sagittarius to Libra, the entire, once it's all been completed, then humanity, or what we call human being, gets a gradual upgrade at the end of it. So you go from humanity 2.0, when the entire cycle is completed, then there's humanity 2.1, 2.3, 2.8, 3.0, etc., etc., etc. So the price that we pay for that gradual increase is that at the end of every single cycle, not at the end of the cycle in its entirety, but at the end of each and every cycle. So for now example, from Pisces to Aquarius, the price that we pay is likened unto, and this is because, let me digress just for a second. When this precession of the equinox takes place and there's that wobble as the earth wobbles on its axis and the whole earth, tilts, it takes one of these a little bit closer to the sun and the stars and the moon, or it's taking one a little bit further away from it. But either way, at the end of each cycle, there's this gradual decline, and that decline is represented in all the ways that we're seeing right now today. And if any of you guys have watched the most recent Mayan movie, I think the Mayan Empire, I think was the name of it. I'm not entirely sure. The name escapes me right now. But either way, that empire that was reigning, that world government, the way people lived, the systems, the way they thought, the way they felt, it begins to erode. And all the external structures, the payment system, the cattle, the drought, the mindsets, the heart sets, all these things gradually fall apart from within. And at the total end of that cycle, at the simultaneously rebirth of the next cycle, we get, and that name, I just had the name of that movie that I'm thinking about. But anyway, at the end of it, we get a society, a world that has totally unraveled. And people become hostile, they become overwhelmed, with grief, despair. They also become overwhelmed by violence tendencies, arrogance, wisdom is shunned, people prefer ignorance. Again, all the other things that I just mentioned, the crops grow up, wars, famine, all of these take place because there's something that's taking place in the ether, the cosmic universe, the cosmic reality, that during this precession of the equinox, it affects people spiritually. And that spirituality that's being affected is causing people to, again, go rogue when it comes to the relationships, the government. It also affects the crops, the cattle, the ability for people to get along. Most people just succumb to it. So the point that's being made is that ultimately it's bigger than me, you, the narcissist, the collapse, world government. Like, this is a universal phenomenon that we're all being affected by and that we all cannot change. We can't reason with this universal force. We can't even reason with a hurricane. We just have to let it do what it does and pick up the pieces afterwards. So if you're in that situation where you're wondering, hey, how come some people don't get it? How come others do? How come others get it and continue to move forward blindly, towards the great abyss? What's happening with world government? What's happening with race tensions? What's happening with gas and food prices? What's happening with epidemics and droughts and famines and all these different things? Ultimately, and as I mentioned, I'll try to be brief on each and every one of these, but obviously I'm going to have to make another chapter because I respect you guys' time. So I'll try and get out of here at about 25, 30 minutes tops. I'm already coming up on 20. So that's what's at the heart of the age of Aquarius, the precession of the equinox. And the precession of the equinox, that's not philosophical. That's not theological. This is scientifically proven when it comes to, because remember I said it's an actual physical thing as well, where the earth actually kind of wobbles on its axle, and that wobbling affects all of humanity, all of the plant life, the animal life, Mother Nature, Mother Earth herself, and it also has a ripple effect. Obviously, if the people and their spiritual makeup is being impacted in a negative way, then obviously we can see how that expands out to government, social conduct, etc., etc. So let me see if I can be real brief and talk about, now that I've explained the precession of the equinox, the signs of with this taking place, the shift, the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And again, depending on your research or study, some people say it began in the year 2000. Others say it began in the year 2012, according to the Mayan calendar, whatever. But for most of us, all of us that has been initiated into this type of subject matter, agree that that's what we're going through. Something that's bigger than me and you. It's not even of itself that your neighbor is a jerk or whatever the situation may be. It's a cosmic thing, and everybody's being affected by it. So after having defined it, some of the signs is during this collapse of one system, and we're seeing it, and that system going totally haywire, totally crazy. That's a sign of it. And another sign of it is that while that aspect of humanity is falling apart, there are a group of people, some call the 144,000, another group of people called the chosen one, and then a third group of people called the great multitude. These are the people that are beginning to start looking at and questioning everything, like the belief systems, the education systems, the family lineage that's been passed down to them in terms of what they should believe, how they should conduct themselves. People start questioning different things, and they begin the hot button phrase now is waking up. A group of people began to wake up, and they began to say, okay, if religion is, and I'm just using an example, if religion is here to do this, then why is that religion responsible for killing so many people? Or if my parents raised me to be this way, how is it that when I go out there and be that way, I see that's a dead end, and I see that way being detrimental and catastrophic to people? Why is that? Why is it that this and that and that and this? People begin to question that. They go through this awakening, and this is another sign that the new shift or the new era, in this case, the era or the age of Aquarius has begun. When you start seeing these things, one world falling apart, people becoming more lustful, more greedy, more hateful, and then within that, you find a group of people who are, starting to question everything, and they're starting to try to grow. They're starting to try to make sense of it all. They're starting to pull back from, if you want to call it that, the ways of the world, because they see the mistakes, the error, and they see the plight that the masses are headed to. So that's another sign. Let me go ahead and try and finish this, guys, and when I come back, we'll just talk about what we refer to as demons. So I'll still try to be out here in about 30 minutes. Let's see if I can get it done. So those are a couple of different signs. As I mentioned, guys, I'm not here to dot the I's and cross the T's on these different subject matters. That's that's a lot of research, talking about this perspective, that perspective, and this and that. I'm just putting enough information out there that if it's a part of this thing we call God's will, you'll consider it, you'll look at it, do your own research, reach out to this ministry for study material, etc., etc. But so I want to say that don't see either of these subject matters that I'm going to be addressing as the end all be all. There's going to be some boxes left unchecked. I'm just putting the information out there for the stated purpose that I just mentioned. Okay, now the ultimate outcome, we talked about defining what the age of Aquarius is, what it looks like. Gave a pretty good definition on that, in my opinion. And we talked about some of the signs. And now we're going to talk about the outcome. The ultimate outcome is this ultimate shift of it all. A shift to where the good books will say, this is God's kingdom on earth. This is the system rebooting itself. And The outcome is setting up his kingdom, which is a kingdom, a government, governmental, a government that's based on love, fairness, humbleness, tolerance, courage, wisdom, compassion, growth, evolution, adventure, love, joy, tolerance, these things. That's the ultimate outcome of this shift and getting away from this dying system where none of those things I just mentioned matter. It's all about how much money do you have. No one cares about how kind you are. No one cares about how much love you have. No one cares about how much wisdom, knowledge, understanding. No one cares about how much of a good person. You can't show up at any restaurant, any movie theater, and use that as a form of finance. But in this new system, that money won't be there, and you will be, as Martin Luther King once said, you will be judged by the content of your character. And if you are known, if you're emanating what we call courage and wisdom and love and humbleness and tolerance and diligence and integrity and all these different things, the good book says those who are first will be last. So who's running the system now? Those who have the most money. When it's all said and done, those type of people, ultimately they won't even make it in, but those kind of people with that heart sets, just for the sake of making this point, those kind of people will be last. And the people who are now last, with the people, which is the people who may not have a lot of money, may not have a lot of political influence, may not have a lot of education, whatever, they're last in society because they don't have the money to be first. The people that are first will be last, and the people who are last will be first. And so that's ultimately what this outcome is all about. That's the ultimate outcome. That's the phoenix that rises from the ashes, because this system that have been established essentially since the fall since the fall in the garden, a system that's based on power and might and armory and conquering and subjugating and conquering and jealousy and lust and pride and literally money and gold. That system is coming to an end, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop that. It's just this gradual, like a person, once they reach their peak, they don't just go from their peak to all of a sudden they're on a cane or in a wheelchair. But if they live long enough, it'll be a gradual thing, and they'll just continue to gradually get there. And that's what's happening to this system. And what will be born in replace of that system is a new beginning, this thing that we call the age of Aquarius. And again, we're already in that season. We're just in the beginning stages of it. Just like if you look outside and spring may begin officially on a certain date. But when you look out, whether it's that date or several weeks, sometimes even several months after that date, Mr. Winter may show up and raise his ugly head. Doesn't mean you're not in spring. Just means that you're going through the initial processes of being in spring. So that's where we are. And again, I'm not going to really go any further. I'm at 29 minutes. But again, in a nutshell, that's what's taking place on this planet. This is why everything is going haywire. This is why some people get it and some people don't. This is why amongst that group of people who do get it, some stay with the truth and some say walking with the truth is too difficult and they go back to the ways of the world. But it's a cosmic thing that's taking place. And everybody, all the things that I mentioned, you, your spouse, your children, world government, the crops, the animals on the planet, the weather patterns, all of these different things are being affected by this cosmic shift that's taking place. If you'd like some follow-up questions on that, or to some different views, or if you have discourse or whatever the case may be, reach out to this ministry. But that's what's taking place. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than the financial hardships. It's bigger than the so-called pandemics. It's bigger than the wars. It's a cosmic thing taking place, and nothing can stop that no more than we could stop a hurricane, or we can stop Mr. Spring or Mr. Winter from coming and setting. Mr. Winter, when it's his day, when it's his time, there's nothing human beings could do about it. period. We can try and dress warm, get our shovels and our salt and all that stuff, but we can't prevent Mr. Winter, not even a little bit. Can't postpone it, can't delay it, can't rush it through its natural process or nothing. And so these are the same truths when it comes to the age of Aquarius. Now, I'm going to get out of here, but when I come back, we'll be talking about these things that we refer to as demons. We've talked about the age of Aquarius, what's taking place. Now we'll talk about these things, these demons. And if you aren't familiar with what that consists of, remember, it's the people, it's the places, the literal atmospheres, it's the things, it's the world government. We'll get into that, and we'll break down what's taking place when it comes to people that we may call narcissists, mean-spirited people, arrogance, people that turn their blind eye and see that there's boiling hot water and they choose to make a conscious decision to jump into it, and all this. We're going to explain all of that in the next chapter. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. I'm exactly at just over 31 minutes. Hey, listen, please watch the aforementioned videos. Please also visit the physical fitness branch of the ministry located at mountfitnessmbs.com. And if you have any interest in the services after you've watched those videos, if you still have follow-up questions, if you'd like to schedule your initial consultation and evaluation in any or all of those services, please hit that email link down in the description box. I believe that's everything that I have for you guys as it relates to today's message. I just want to thank you guys, and I want to encourage you guys to know that I do value you guys. Be encouraged in your own walk. Be encouraged in your own journey. If there's anything this ministry can do to help you along the way, then definitely reach out to this ministry. And if you got any value in today's message, that's a clear indication to you that others may very well get value in today's message as well. So please hit the most important button of all, in my opinion, and that's the share button. It really, really would mean a great deal to this ministry, and it may also mean even more to the person that needs to hear this. So please start with the share button, and then beyond that, if the Holy Spirit moves you to do so, then also hit the like button, and then subscribe to the channel if you aren't already subscribed. Hit the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications when I upload new messages. I think I mentioned the physical fitness branch of the ministry. If the Holy Spirit moves you to make a monetary donation in support of this ministry, to show your thanks, to show your support, to show your generosity, I'm going to leave a Cash App link down in the description box. Remember that no amount is too small, and also remember that you have an abundant harvest coming. When you take that good seed and you pour it into this good ground, you will receive an abundant harvest, because He's promised that you will. So receive your harvest by faith in whatever way you make a positive contribution to this ministry, sharing the message, hitting the like, the subscribe, all that good stuff. Receive your harvest by faith as I simultaneously continue to receive by faith your continued love, support, and generosity. I'm going to get out of here, guys, but I always like to encourage you guys that this is a mind, body, and spirit ministry, and whatever it is that you may be facing, regardless of your age, regardless of your personal trials and tribulations, not making light of any of it, and regardless of your current physical conditioning, this ministry has been raised up, appointed, anointed, and assigned to help you make sure that in spite of all those things, your mind, your body, and your spirit remains healthy, beautiful, and vibrant. So if there's anything this ministry can do to help you out in those regards, please be encouraged to reach out. I love all you guys whose hearts are in the right place. I look forward to seeing you guys in chapter 3. I will get out of here. I am Brother Minister Mongoose, and I will holler back. Peace.